Yeah, can see it.
Yeah, it's visible.
Okay. Thank you so much. Okay, let me start off with my introduction. Hello, everyone. Good good day to you all. My name is Sunil Kumar. I am also known as Power Trainer. These are my some of the social media handles. Feel free to reach me out on those. Today specifically, we are gonna talk about Power Platform licensing. This session is from a beginner's point of view, where we'll talk about different types of licenses involved in Power Platform within different products which we have, be it Power Apps, Power Automate, Copilot Studio, Power Pages, and then AI Builder as well. Then at the end, we will have couple of rare things which we do not see very often. We'll talk about those, and then at the end, if there are any queries from your side, feel free to let me know. We'll try to address those within this session itself. And let's start off with this. So first of all, we will talk about Power Apps licensing. Before we go into Power Apps licensing, we will talk about different connectors which are available within Power Platform. So to connect any of the Power Platform product, when I say Power Platform product, I am talking about Power Apps, Power Automate, Copilot Studio, and Power Pages, and Power BI as well. Whenever any of the product needs to connect or integrate with any of the other third-party product or internal product, we always need connectors. So these connectors are nothing but a collection of the specific APIs and their endpoints. Those are collected and made as a connector. So these connectors are of two types generally, standard connectors and premium connectors. So when we say standard connectors are the ones which are free to use, provided by Microsoft. Whenever we talk about premium connectors are the diamond marked connectors, and these connectors are paid. Now, how these are free and how these are paid, we will talk about those as well. Now, there could be cases when, so as of this moment, we have 900 plus connectors available from Microsoft side, which any of the developer can go ahead and readily use for their applications. On top of it, in case if any specific connector is not available to integrate with third-party application, for example, we can talk about Zoho, Manage Engine Service Desk Plus, right, or asset management. There is no connector. We can always go ahead and create a connector out of those APIs and endpoints. Those are called custom connectors. On top of it, in case if we have any of the on-premise system available, for example, any we have a SQL server, which is an on-premise server, and we want to connect to that particular database within that server. Good way is that we can always go ahead and create a data gateway in that particular server with the same Microsoft account. And that particular account will help us to create a connection between cloud, which is Power Platform, and then the on-prem environment, which is our SQL Server. So that is the fourth type where we can connect to any of the on-premise system using data gateways. Now, the reason behind talking about premium connectors and standard connectors is because the whole game of licensing is dependent on this as well. How? When we talk about Power Apps licensing, so how a Power App is a standard Power App or a premium Power App is decided based on the connectors which are being used in that application. For example, any of the Power App which is built from for a developer for a development purposes or for a proof of concept purposes can be built on SharePoint as a database, right? Though we do not treat SharePoint as a database, but for any of the proof of concepts, we can always go ahead and create an application on using SharePoint as a connector. Now, SharePoint connector is a standard connector. So any of the Power App for Power Automate which uses standard connectors are a standard applications or an automation. In this case, when we use SharePoint, the Power Apps becomes a standard Power Apps. If we use the SharePoint connector in Power Automate, that is a standard Power Automate. In case now, beside this, if we use any of the premium connectors in any of the Power Apps or Power Automate, automatically that Power Automate Power Apps becomes a premium Power Automate or premium Power Apps. For example, Dataverse, SQL, Oracle. If we use any of these connectors, automatically the Power Apps or the Power Automate becomes premium Power Automate and Power Apps. Now, to have the end user access these, they always need a specific license. Now we are coming to the licenses. So now when we understand what is premium and standard, then we come to the Power Apps licensing summary. So in this, if we see, we have different Power Apps subscriptions. The first one is Power Apps Premium. So this particular one is, I'll go ahead with the cost first, $20 per user per month, right? So this is assigned to a particular user. Right? Any of the organization can go ahead and buy these licenses in bulk from Microsoft to their tenant, and then these can be allocated to different users of their organization. Okay. Now, this is first type where $20 per user per month, which is called as Power Apps Premium license. Second one is Power Apps per app license. So now this specifically gives access to only one particular application. We will also come on the, we'll talk about the capabilities, what all are included within these different type of subscriptions. Right now, I'm sharing on a very high level that Power Apps per app, as the name suggests, it gives the access to one particular application to any of the user, whomever this is being assigned to. Then the third subscription is pay as you go subscription. In this particular subscription, Power Apps per app meter is always there. This depends on, this is basically for $10 per active user. Now, when we say active user, what happens in this case, just a bit of the background, how this gets assigned. So in this way of assignment, any of the Power Platform environment which is created has to be connected to your Azure subscription or your company's Azure subscription. Now, when it is connected to your company's Azure subscription, Power Apps meters will always check that within a particular month, if any of the users have been active or not. So let's assume if Sunil has been assigned this particular license and for 1 month, he has not touched any of the Power Apps application from the consumption point of view, right? He has not logged in, he has not operated on any of the Power Apps. So this particular bill will not be gone for the organization. That for Sunil, there is no billing for that particular month. So that's how this gets treated and will be built on the Azure subscription. Okay. Now we'll talk about the capabilities. From the capability standpoint, when we talk about Power Apps Premium, for Power Apps, it can run the custom applications which are built. Okay. It can even run the custom websites. How many? Unlimited applications can be built, can be accessed by the user who has Power Apps Premium license allocated to that particular account. Then unlimited websites. So these websites are Power Pages websites. Initially, these were part of Power App. These were called as Power Apps portals. So that's when these are these also comes under this particular licensing type. However, these can be accessed from by multiple users. Okay, because these are internal users basically. Now, AI Builder. AI Builder is a facility or is a capability which is provided by Microsoft, which has a lot of AI capabilities, for example, AI prompts, for example, document intelligence, right? Getting the text from images. So these are some of the AI Builder capabilities. For that, 500 credits are loaded to the organization for any of the user who has $20 per Power Apps Premium license. Okay. Now, from the Power Platform connectors point of view, these users will be able to access all the standard connectors. These users will be able to access all the premium and custom connectors also. Now, when we talk about accessing the premium connectors, for example, box.com is one of the premium connector which can be accessed, or any other we can take. For example, ServiceNow, right? So it gives, this particular license gives access to connect with that particular connector, ServiceNow, right? But it does not by default gives you the access to the ServiceNow portal also. So ServiceNow portal is a separate service, a cloud service which is provided by ServiceNow company, right? So any organization would need to purchase the specific licenses for that.
Hello,
There
Sunil,
is a
we
premium
can't hear
connector.
you.
Okay.
Yeah, please can you go back a bit because we are not hearing you for like a
Is
minute.
it better now?
Yeah,
Am
it's
I
better
audible?
now. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, perfect.
So I was talking about premium and custom connectors. So in this case, any of the premium connector or integration which is required, for example, servicenow.com is a third party application. In case any of the Power Apps needs to be connected or integrated to servicenow.com, what should happen in that case is any organization should already be having a ServiceNow instance, a cloud service portal for them. That is a separate transaction, separate billing from the organization to ServiceNow organization. Once they have a portal created, all the users are able to access the ServiceNow. On top of it, if any Power Apps needs to be connected or integrated to ServiceNow, in that case, those premium connectors would be required, and any of the user who has Power Apps premium access would be able to access those. Okay. Now, as we talked about on-premise and cloud services data transfer, these like the users who has Power Apps premium licenses, those will be able to do that too. Okay. Talking about Dataverse, these users will have full Dataverse access. These users will be able to create, access custom tables as well. Now, there is a separate database capacity which will be acquired to the tenant per license which are procured based on use. So for example, if there are if let's say if an organization procure one license, one Power Apps premium license, 250 MB will be of the Dataverse database capacity will be acquired to the organization tenant. If there are 10 such Power Apps premium licenses procured by an organization, then it will be 2500 MB of the database capacity acquired to the tenant. Now Dataverse comes with couple of capacities, couple of different type of capacities. One is database capacity, then we have the file capacity also, file storage capacity also. Okay, so in this case, per user, per license, 250 MB of the storage, database storage will be acquired to the tenant, and then 2 GB of the file capacity will be acquired to the tenant. Okay, these are not given to a specific licenses, specific users whom the license is allocated, but this is for the tenant. Okay, they will be able to admin and governance from the managed environment perspective. These premium license holder users will be able to have that capability as well. When we talk about Power Apps per app licenses, what all the capabilities does this provide corresponding to the different capabilities? The users will be either able to access one application, Power Apps application, or one Power Pages website, or not both. So there is a choice of one. Then these users will be able to run any of the workflows within the custom application also, right? What does this mean? Running the workflow with custom application. I will talk about this when we talk about Power Automate licensing. Okay. So from the AI Builder credits perspective, 250 such credits per license will be allocated to the tenant. then these users will be able to access the standard connectors also, premium custom connectors as well, and then the on-premise data gateways in case any of the integration is required from cloud, which is Power Platform, to the on-premise system. For on-premise system, as we already have taken some examples like SQL Server or Oracle Server, on-premise servers. These users will be able to get full Dataverse access. They will be able to create and access custom tables as well. Along with that, these users per license 50 MB of the database capacity will be acquired to the tenant. In case of Power Apps Premium, it was 250 MB. Now, along with that, file storage capacity of 400 MB will be acquired per user for the tenant. Okay. Similarly, for managed environment, they will be able to have access to admin and governance at scale. When we talk about the third type of licensing subscription, which is pay as you go, $10 per active user per app per month. This does not give the capability to run the website. This only gives us the capability to run one application. Okay. Users will be able to run the workflow within the custom application. It does not give any AI builder capacity. Okay. Standard connectors are available. Users can access that. Premium connectors are available. Custom connectors also. Then on-premise data gateways as well. Full Dataverse access will be given to users. Create and access custom tables also. They will be able to do that. No Dataverse database as well as file storage capacities will be provided to the users in this case. I was talking about running the workflows within the custom application. Now we are jumping to the next point, which is the licensing about Power Automate. We will talk about the running a workflow from the custom application. For example, let's say there is one Power Apps application, and on a click of one button, a Power Automate gets triggered. Okay, so this particular type of Power Automate is an instant Power Automate, which is Power Apps triggered Power Automate. Okay, in this particular Power Automates, the user who is triggering or user who is clicking the button, right? The Power Automate runs under this user's context. So in this particular case, if any of the Power Automate which has premium or standard connectors, right, will be running under the user who is clicking the button on the Power Apps, on the user context of that. So in this particular case, Power Automate will automatically understand whether the user who has clicked the button on Power Apps have the particular premium license or not. Okay. Now I'll come to one point which might be a bit confusing, but bear with me on this. One user who is having Power Apps premium license, okay, would be able to trigger any of the Power Apps triggered Power Automate from the Power Apps itself without any Power Automate premium license required. Why? Because this particular user, as we already talked about, any of the Power Apps triggered Power Automate runs under the context of the user who is clicking the button on Power Apps, and this user already have the Power Apps premium licensing allocated to this user. So at the end, they don't need the Power Automate premium license now. Okay, now we will come to Power Automate license and we'll talk about that. Power Automate licensing subscriptions are of majorly two types. One is Power Automate Premium, which is $15 per user per month. Okay, so the highlight point is the user. So this is allocated to user. Okay, per user per month, which is of $15. When we talk about the other type of subscription, which is Power Automate Process, this is $150 per bot per month. This is not assigned to the user. In turn, it is assigned to a particular Power Automate. Okay. What is the difference between these two? I'll come to that. Okay. From the capability standpoint, cloud flows, which are automated, instant, and scheduled flows, users will be able to trigger these. Now, what happens is Sunil Kumar, a user of an organization, is allocated a Power Automate premium license, okay, which is $15 per user per month. When I have this particular license, I will be able to run any of the automated flows, run any of the scheduled flows, run any of the instant flows also, which is on a button click. These instant flows are not triggered from Power Apps or from Copilot Studio. Okay. So I will be able to access, I will be able to run these. And now there is a clear difference between automated and scheduled flows and how these runs. Okay, as we talked about the how the power automate, which is being triggered from Power Apps, how these runs is based on the user context of the one who is triggering the button from Power Apps. Despite that, the automated and scheduled flows always runs on the context of the flow owner. Okay. Flow owner, initially the flow owner is the one who has created the flow. By default, that is the owner of the Power Automate or a flow, right? However, this can be modified also. This can be changed as well. This can be changed to another user. This can be even changed to a service principal as well. Okay. So in that case, that particular any of the user would need to have a Power Automate premium license to run these. As owner, they would need to have that. Unless they have that license, have this particular license, they will not be able to run any of the automated or scheduled or instant flows if those flows are premium flows, basically. Premium flows are the flows where any of the premium connector is being used. Be minimum one. Okay, as soon as any of the one action or one action of the premium connector is utilized in that particular Power Automate, automatically makes the Power Automate as premium Power Automate. Okay. From the business process flows, these users will be able to access these as well, right? Business process flows are generally used in the model driven applications, right? And then attended desktop flows. So attended desktop flows are the so desktop flow is basically an RPA capability provided by Microsoft, which is created using Power Automate Desktop, right? So when any of the attended desktop is created, attended desktop generally helps us to do the desktop scraping, web scraping, right? So whenever any of the desktop flow is created, these users will be able to run using this particular license. Users will not be able to run the unattended desktop flows by this particular license. Okay. Process mining, users will be able to do these process mining activities as well. From the standard premium connector access perspective, usability perspective, standard connectors user will be able to access, premium and custom connector they will be able to access, on-premise and cloud service data transfer also they will be able to access. Along with this, from the AI builder capacity, these users will be able to get, not the users basically, these particular per license 5,000 service credits will be allocated to the tenant and the environments, Power Platform environments. From the Dataverse capacity perspective, they have Dataverse use rights, definitely. The database capacity, which will be acquired to tenant per license will be 250 MB. Okay. The file capacity which will be acquired to tenant per license will be 2 GB. From the managed environment perspective, they will be able to have the administration and governance access. So these users will be able to have that. When we talk about Power Automate process, right? Initially, we discussed that these are different than Power Automate Premium from the allocation perspective also. These Power Automate Premium license are allocated to per user. However, Power Automate process license are assigned or allocated to per bot. Bot is basically a flow. It could be a cloud flow, it could be a desktop flow. Okay. Now, one good thing, the major difference between these two is, bear with me, it might be a bit confusing. Okay. For example, I have a Power Automate Premium Power Automate. Okay, a flow which is created with one action called data verse. Okay, automatically makes this Power Automate a premium Power Automate. Okay, now to run this particular Power Automate, okay, any user would need a Power Automate Premium license. Okay, this is story one. Now, second story is that if this particular Power Automate is already allocated Power Automate process license, in this particular case, if any user who wants to run this particular Power Automate, they would not need a Power Automate premium license. Okay, let me repeat this. I have a Power Automate or a flow, which is a premium flow. Okay, a premium flow is a flow where we have any of the premium connector added to that, automatically makes it a premium Power Automate. For example, a flow is created in a way whenever a record is created in a dataverse, a flow should be a mail should be triggered. So this particular Power Automate is my premium Power Automate. Okay. Now, who would be able to run these? The user who has or Power Automate premium license allocated to them, they will be able to run this Power Automate. Now, I do not want to assign all the users the Power Automate premium license. Okay. Now, what is the other way? How this particular Power Automate will be run? If we can assign the Power Automate process license to this particular Power Automate itself, as this is assigned to per bot. So to this particular Power Automate flow only, we have assigned the Power Automate process license. In this particular case, any user would be able to run this particular Power Automate now. They don't need Power Automate premium license. Okay, I hope this makes a bit clear. Okay, what are the capabilities available? Now, feel free to raise any queries if you have, note it down with yourselves, or you can put it in the chat. We will definitely be addressing those at the end of the session, in the query session. Okay. Now, the access from the Power Automate perspective, these could be cloud flows, automated flows, instant flows, right? Not instant flows. I will come to that. Okay, not instant flows. Business process flows also. No attended desktop flows can be run if the bot has this particular license. Okay, unattended desktop flows can easily be assigned Power Automate desktop bot license. Task mining capabilities are not provided within this. From the Power Platform connector access, standard premium connectors, custom connectors, data gateways, everything user will be able to access. When we talk about the AI builder, okay, 5,000, the same amount of service credits will be allocated to the tenant and the environment based on the individual bot license. Okay. Database and dataverse capacity, dataverse use rights definitely are there. From the database capacity, 50 MB of the database capacity per Power Automate process license will be accrued to the tenant. Similarly, 200 MB of the file storage capacity will be accrued to the tenant per Power Automate bot license. Managed environment, they will be able to have the administration and governance access. Okay, this is a quick information about the Power Automate subscription which are available. Now we will come to the next one, which is the Copilot Studio. Okay, one of the very simplest licensing which we have within Power Platform is for the Copilot Studio. Okay, there is just one subscription which is available. Okay, this subscription is for the tenant. Okay, I will come to that. So there are two type of subscription within this. Okay, not subscription, but there is an additional or add-on. I would say. Copilot Studio license is tenant based. It starts from $200 per tenant per month. Okay. There are different packs also available. Those can also be loaded. Now, when we talk about 200 per tenant per month license, which is allocated to tenant, along with this, there is a $0 Copilot Studio user license. Okay, which also should be purchased by the user, by the organization. Okay, those are $0. Okay, those are just to have, or basically those are needed to be allocated to the users who are gonna access the Copilot Studio, or the custom Copilots which are built using Copilot Studio. Okay. For example, in my organization, I have 500 such users who would be accessing the custom Copilots. In that case, I will buy or procure 500 Copilot Studio user licenses also, which are $0, no cost. But those needs to be procured separately and has to be allocated to different users who are going to access these custom copilots. Okay, so this is kind of a hidden thing which is not very available. So feel free to like we would need to understand that also. Okay, feel free to load those user license, because those will be eventually required for the users to access these custom copilots which are built using Copilot Studio. What users would be able to do with this particular license, right? The output you create is your own individual standalone copilot. These are custom copilots basically. Okay. Initially, this was known as Power Virtual Agents, but now with the new generative AI capabilities and dynamic chaining, Microsoft has rebranded Power Virtual Agent as Copilot Studio. Okay. There are first-hand copilots also. The first-hand copilots are generally the first of all the copilots with Excel, copilots with PowerPoint, copilots within Power Apps, Power Automate, right? Those are called as first-hand copilots, and then Copilot Studio can help us create our own custom copilots also. Some of the use cases like Travel Desk Copilot, right? And then on top of it, Copilot Studio also helps us to extend the first-hand copilots which are built. Right? First-hand copilots which are already built. For example, we already talked about Copilot Studio with Excel. Right? If we want to extend this particular copilot with our particular database, we can also go ahead and extend that using the plugins and connectors. Okay. Now, where all these copilots can be published, there are external channels, there are internal channels also, right? External channels like external websites, Facebook, WhatsApp. There is no direct integration as of today with the WhatsApp, but in September, Microsoft is planning to release a direct connection of Copilot Studio with WhatsApp also. Right? As of today, there are ways to do it. We can use it using Twilio or third-party products. Right? We can always do that, but right now we do not have a direct integration. However, Microsoft is planning to release that. Internal channels, there are internal websites, right? SharePoint sites, and we can publish on those. Teams also we can publish on, right? Mostly Teams is the favorite channel internally if any organization wants to use that. However, these channels, we can always have the Power Apps, Copilot Studio also integrated within Power Apps as well. Okay. Now, how many messages per tenant per month are available within this particular license? These are 25,000 messages. In the just to give you a bit of background, in the era of Power Virtual Agent, it was 2,000 conversations. Okay. There is a clear difference between 2,000 conversations, and now it is being given to 25,000 messages. Okay. Now, what is a message? Like how would we know that how many messages are consumed, right? Whenever there is a simple message transaction where there is no generative AI capability involved, right? In that particular case, it is going to consume only one message. But if any generative AI capability is involved in the communication, at that in that particular case, it is going to consume two messages from the uh, from this particular pool of 25,000 messages. I'll give you one example. Copilot Studio, for example, if I want to understand from a particular SharePoint, right, I have a full database of leave calendar in that. I want to know, okay, how many days of leave anyone can avail. So will be a quick find number on the website or on the documentation of leave policy. If the Copilot Studio will go ahead and get that particular one directly given to us. That is just one message. If you want to do some calculation based on that, and we ask that based on the number of leaves, how many I can avail in this particular area, where there is a generative AI capabilities are included, right? In those particular cases, it's gonna consume more than one, ideally two messages from this particular lot. It could be more as well, right? As the complexity of the conversation or the message goes based on that. Users, so generative AI capabilities, right? Create plugins to customize Microsoft Copilot. This particular capability is not involved in here if any of the user or if the tenant is having that, right? Now, this particular capability is provided if the user have some other licenses as well. We'll talk about that as in our next sessions. I want to keep this only from the beginner's point of view as of today. Okay. Build your own standalone Copilot. Definitely, it is available. Right? Create and iterate the different Copilot topics using expanded natural language capacities. LLMs can be used here. Yes. Power Automate for the Copilot Studio. User will be able to integrate with any of the Power Automates. This automatically is part of plugins also. They will be able to use standard connectors, premium connectors also in this particular case. Any of the Power Automate, which is having Copilot Studio trigger, right, does not also need a Power Automate premium license. Okay, this is the same story as for the Power Apps triggered Power Automate. Okay, nothing different than that. On-premise data gateways, yes, user will be able to access Dataverse for Copilot Studio. Yes, those are also. So this particular Dataverse capability is also included in this. For managed environment, admin and governance capabilities also will be available in this particular case. Now we will talk about Power Pages licenses. So as we all know, Power Pages is a low code, no code website builder, okay, for internal, external, authenticated, anonymous users. Okay. First of all, any internal user can go ahead and access this. There is no issue with that because Power Automate premium license or Power Apps premium license already cover that. Right now, we are talking about the users who are externally, first of all, right? Because the main intent of Power Pages is to enable external organization users to interact with the data, with the forms within the website. Okay, the main intention is that. So we are going to talk about the users, external users. These could be of two types. One is authenticated users. For example, we go to Facebook, we log in. As soon as we log in, we become the authenticated users, right? Even if we don't log in, we will be able to see some of the data in the Facebook, right? So that is a way of anonymous user access. Okay, so this is the different type of accesses, and based on that, there are two subscriptions provided to the for the Power Pages access. Right. Again, these are also not user specific. These are also tenant specific. Okay. So Power Pages authenticated user license. This is also will be assigned to the tenant. Power Pages anonymous user license. This will be also assigned to the tenant. Okay. What is the difference? First of all, cost is different, right? Second is whether the create, access, host, administer websites. Yes, both license provides that. Secure access authentication. Definitely, the authenticated user license would provide that, right? These authentications could be of Azure AD access, right? It could be from any of the other authentication channels also, right? And Azure AD B2C generally we use here, right? And for the secure authentication access for anonymous, as the name suggests, it is for anonymous, so there is no secure authentication. There is no provision of logging in to the users, right? In this particular case. Our platform connectors, user standard connectors, premium connectors, both are available in this case. Dataverse access, yes, it is available. However, just to give you a bit of background, any of the Power Pages website which is created, the only database of that particular Power Pages website is Dataverse. There could not be any other database. We can have virtual tables from another databases within Dataverse, but Dataverse is the only database for Power Pages and all the configuration also. For any for this, the 2 GB of the database access or capacity will be acquired to the tenant. Dataverse per license, okay, per package of license. Then 16 GB of the file capacity will be acquired to the tenant. From the managed environment perspective, administration and governance is provided. The only difference here between these two licenses is the Dataverse database and file storage capacity and the secure authentication access. Okay, this is the major difference between these two licenses subscription of Power Pages. We will talk about seeded licenses now. Okay, seeded licenses are the limited user rights which are provided by the Microsoft or Office 365 licenses. Okay, I'll take one example. Let's take an example of Microsoft Office 365 E3 or E5. Okay, within this license, any user who has this particular license provided by the organization, right? So Microsoft 365 E3 and E5 already provides access to a whole lot of different products of Microsoft Office 365 or M365 suite, right? Along with those, it also provides access to Power Apps with the standard user, right? Again, with the Power Automate, also Cloud Flows, Desktop Flows, Copilot Studio when it is launched on or published on Teams, right? Along with that, Dataverse for Teams. Okay, Dataverse for Teams is different than Dataverse full access. Okay, Dataverse for Teams has a limited storage of 2 GB of database capacity, right? So this is from the perspective that we understand the actual leverage of Dataverse, and then any organization can take a full decision of moving to the Dataverse as the database. However, for any of the enterprise application which are created by within for the Power Apps, must have Dataverse as the database. If not Dataverse, they can always have SQL or Oracle databases. Or the good way is to have Dataverse as the database, right? And then we can always use the capability of virtual tables if we want to have any other tables from any other databases, for example, SQL, Oracle, or any other, right? So that is also another way of having that. Now, within this, if we see that, for example, let's say Microsoft 365 F1, right? Frontliners license. In this particular case, F1 does not provide any access to any of the, even for the limited use rights. No, not for Power Apps, nothing. For F3, yes, right? Along with that, if we see for Office 365 E1, Office 365 E3, E5, and Office 365 F3, you'll be able to see. You can see the clear difference between Office 365 F3 and Microsoft 365 F3 here. So this is a very initial table which we should refer in case any of the organization does not have access, or they are not going ahead with the licensing of Power Platform. The only limitation of seeded licenses is that it is a limited use rights, right? None of the premium capacity or capability will be used by these seeded licenses, right? Which means that none of the premium connectors, or whether these are Power Apps, Power Automate, would be leveraged if the user is having seeded license only. Next, we are going to talk about AI Builder licenses. Okay, we'll take another 5 minutes, and then I'm going to close it from my side, and we'll open for the queries. Okay, AI Builder capacity or capabilities are of different types, as we talked about, right? AI build, we can talk about AI prompts, we can talk about document intelligence, we can talk about then extracting images, extracting texts from PDFs, right? Extracting information from the business cards. So these are all AI capabilities, AI builder capabilities, right? These are based on the licenses. The number of licenses which we talked about till now, all of those licenses provide some number of credits. Okay, we talked about that. If you want to understand more, this is the website AI Builder Calculator. We can always go ahead and check based on our particular use cases, based on the number of estimated number of document intelligence or extraction which will be required, how many AI Builder credits will be required in that case, right? So AI Builder add-on is specifically procured from from Microsoft, right? From any of the CSPs, we can procure it. These are of different types: tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, right? And individual one particular one particular lot costs about $500 of AI Builder. Okay. You can always look at the AI Builder calculator based on the expected user estimated usage. We can always find out the actual cost. Now, along with the licensing which we talked about, right? I would suggest one way to go ahead and check for the getlicensingready.com. This is from Microsoft. Okay, there are multiple tracks for Power Platform. There is a track. It is very simple, step by step. Right? We can always go ahead and check this out. I would highly recommend this. This will give you another way of looking at licensing, right? So whatever I talked about, this was not even 10 to 20% of what is actually provided in this particular learning course. Okay, I would highly recommend you go ahead and check this out. At the end, if you clear everything, you will get a licensing specialist, this kind of a certification, which is valid for 1 month. Okay. Now, some of the rare information I wanted to share, right? We talked about Dataverse, right? It is a premium capability. Yes, it is a premium capability, but there is a way to use it for free. Okay. How can we use it for free? There are different type of environments, Power Platform environments, okay, sandbox environment, trial environment, then we have production environment. Along with that, we have a special type of environment, Power Platform environment, which is known as developer environment. Okay, if we go ahead and create that particular type of environment, right, for the Power Apps, we will be able to use full Dataverse at no cost for Power Apps only, not for Power Automate. Okay, for Power Apps, we'll be able to use the Dataverse full access for free. This is one of the best way to learn if anyone wants to learn the capabilities of Dataverse. This is from that perspective only. Developer environment can never be converted to a production environment. Okay, and Microsoft always tracks. In case if they see any of the misuse of this environment, they might go ahead block the user, the tenant itself also, or the environment as well. Okay, so always take care of these things. Power Apps Premium Frontline License. Okay, there is a special hidden kind of license also, which is called as Power Apps Premium Frontline License. Okay, this is some of the rare information which I have got, which I got from one of the acquaintance in Microsoft for one of the use case which we had to build. Power Apps Premium Frontline license. This is USD per user per month. Okay, this could be this could be used in any of those use cases where there are many of the frontline workers available, right? And they want to access the Power Apps. Those Power Apps which are actually using Dataverse or any of the premium databases within those. Per flow license or per bot license, only specific triggers like HTTP request, scheduled triggers, right, qualify for per flow pricing. Triggers like manual runs or button clicks are not included here. So this was the point I was talking about earlier, that I will come to the instant type of Power Automate process type of license. So this was about that. And if you are a partner of Microsoft, right, you can always leverage some of the programs from Microsoft, which are generally known as partner licensing programs, which can help you to understand, leverage the licensing in a more professional way, right? There will be trainers from Microsoft. There will be a study material from Microsoft also. So with this, I would actually like to conclude our today's session, which was from the beginner's point of view of Power Platform licensing. I hope you guys have enjoyed it. Now, the query session is open. Feel free to come on video, audio, or if you can add some of the queries in chat, I will be happy to address those and answer it for you.
Thank you very much, Sunil. Actually, I really love this because licensing sometimes it get me confused. Thank you very much. So we have some questions in the chat. We can go through them.
Yes, sure. So we'll take one by one. First one is from Sylvester, right? How many flows runs do we have per month on our basic M365 SKUs? Okay, so as far as I know, Microsoft has not released the number of this, right? However, they have released the number of uh, runs, not runs, I would say those are requests, right? Power Automate requests, which are shared by Microsoft for the Power Automate Premium, Power Automate per bot also, right? So for Power Automate Premium, it is 5,000 requests per 24 hours. And then for Power Automate Process, if I'm not wrong, it is 40,000 for 24 hours. Right? You always might need to go back and check because some of the numbers might be here and there, but this is on the similar lines. For M365 SKUs, this is a good question. I have not able to find any such relevant number as such, but I will definitely connect with some of my Microsoft acquaintances and will try and get to this number. This is a good question, by the way. Thank you so much. Second question again from Sylvester. What happens when a user reaches to the threshold of allocated flows runs before the end of month? Again, it is not from the end of month perspective. It is from a 24-hour perspective, right? So automatically when a user reaches to that threshold, the flows will stop running. Right? So that is a good way to understand that this particular process actually is running for these many times, these many requests are there. So I would need to consider bumping it up either to Power Automate Premium base or to Power Automate Process. Right? So this will give you a good understanding from that perspective as well. Yes, and the third text is again from Sylvester. Is there a Power Apps licensing available through Azure subscription? It is available. Power Apps subscription is available through Azure subscription. The only Way to do that is your environment has to be connected to the Azure subscription in that particular case. And the only type of licensing which you can avail in this case would be Power Apps pay as you go. Okay. Yes, Sylvester, feel free to.
Okay. Good evening. Thank you. I hope you can hear me.
Yes, yes, you're audible.
Awesome. Okay, so it's just a follow-up question to the question that I just had.
Yes.
So assuming you deploy a solution to somebody, and you want the person is not available in your tenant, and maybe it's a wrap solution that you have, then they can download it as an APK file or an IPA file for
Mhm.
Apple users. So I'm looking at a scenario where you can share it for the person to use their Azure subscription to be able to, I know the data aspect will be something that you need to configure to see
Right.
what kind of resources or what kind of access they have to the app. But aside the data access aspect,
Mhm.
can we make it available for them to consume the app through their Azure subscription?
See, for the Azure subscription, definitely first thing first, those users would need to be part of your Azure Active Directory, which is Entra ID now, right? And then they should be having access to, as you told, from the data perspective, the data access should be there, right? Along with that, we can always make any of the user able to access any of the Power Apps application. There shouldn't be any uh, roadblock in that, as far as I know. Right? Even on top of it, we can go ahead and share any of the Power Apps application to external users also. Okay, I have a step-by-step blog also available, LinkedIn article also available on how can we go ahead and share any of the applications to external users. So if any one of you are interested in that, feel free to check that out.
Sure, sure. I'll definitely do that. If possible, if you can also paste the blog link so that
I will.
maybe at our free time we can also go and check it out.
Sure, sure. I will.
Thank you so much.
Thank
Yeah.
you. Thank you. Any other question?
Sunil, let me try this question from Sylvester because it's something I want to understand. So you have an app in your tenant, but you don't want the people to access the source code. Then you share the app from your tenant to them as an external users. Is that it?
No. So it is basically, see, first of all, if you share any of the application with any of the user, definitely they will not be able to access the source code of it. Okay, because you are not sharing it in a raw format. You are not sharing a solution which is an unmanaged format, right? You are sharing just an application from the accessibility point of view rather from the editing point of view, right?
All right. Okay. That's very clear. Thank you.
Yeah, I
Okay.
think Eric
And
wanted to ask a question too.
okay.
Yes,
All right.
please.
Uh, Hello.
Hi, Eric. You are
Hello.
audible. You are audible.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, I just wanted to commend you for the presentation. It's quite comprehensive. But
Thank you.
what is not really clearer, some people ask, why is it that an unauthenticated user should be charged on the Power Pages? So if you are being authenticated, then maybe the charges will be okay. But those who are not being authenticated,
Mm-hmm.
why should there be a charge for those people
Okay.
against the
Okay. So,
user?
okay, what I've understood by your question, correct me if I'm wrong, is why do we have the unauthenticated way of access to Power Pages,
I'm
right?
saying that why do they have to be charged?
Why they have to be charged? Okay. Okay, this is a
Yes.
good question. Okay. See, uh, the very basic idea of charging, user is not getting charged, the organization is getting charged, first of all, right? And that charge is
Yes, yes.
also very less, but the charge should be there. Why? Because first of all, there is a web space which is being used, right? The website is hosted somewhere, right? In the cloud. That is
Yeah.
assured, right? And if any of the website is hosted, there is always a server running in the backend. There is always a cost to it. It's a storage
Okay.
cost, it's a electricity cost. There are like different channels. There are a lot of costs involved in it, right? As of today,
Yes.
if you go ahead and create any of the website, that will be hosted somewhere, right? For that, I will be charged a kind of a subscription, a cost to it on an annual basis, or something in that fashion, or monthly basis, right? So that's where the cost is always there.
Okay, right.
I
That's
hope
clear.
I'm
Thank you.
clear.
Thank you. Yeah, it's very clear.
Yeah.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Thank you.
Thanks,
I
Eric, for the
think to
question.
just Yeah, to just quickly add something too. I think along the years, Microsoft is just in this politics of making more money out of it because they noticed that a lot of people are using it. If you remember, the CRM portal days back then before it became Power Pages, you can easily create a CRM portal for self-service or customer self-service, whatever, and there's no real licensing that is attached to it in terms of authenticated users, non-authenticated users. As long as you have contacts in your maybe dynamic environment and you shared
Mhm.
the invitation code with them, they can easily access the resources. But I think people took advantage of it, and Microsoft along the years decided to, get some money out of that side. But I feel it's kind of a bit expensive looking at it because from our market, especially the African market, if you look at the other solutions that you have, the custom
Mhm.
solutions that you have for a website, and compared to whatever Microsoft is proposing with Dynamics, and the price
Mhm.
is a bit. I won't say it's a bit, but is way more than whatever. So is a bit difficult for us to adopt Power Pages, even though the capability, the things that you can use it to do are really awesome, but we are limited on the price factor because we have easier options that are cheaper,
Mhm.
even though they won't really give you the business value that you want to harness from it. But it's still the price factor. I think it's something that they
Okay.
need to look at. They
I
need to
got
look
your
at,
point.
especially for our African market. Yeah.
I got your point. I have 3 points to specific crisp points I have. First point is that with Microsoft, any of the product access, right? We are not just talking about one such product. We are talking about the whole ecosystem, right? So we do get a whole lot of different things available within Microsoft ecosystem along with that, right? Second thing is that sometimes there might be not a good reach of that particular product eventually, which might look like the pricing is bit increased, right? But as the product reaches to its full potential from the credibility perspective, from the access perspective, from the reach perspective, the eventual cost would go down, right? It might take some time for that, but eventually we can see that happening. We have seen that happening with Power Platform also. Initially, the cost last year, I remember last to last year, the cost was somewhere around $40 per user per month for premium access, premium license. It was cut down to 50%, slashed to 50% with right now what the price we see for $20 per user per month for premium access, right? How did that happen? And the similar happened for the Power Apps per app license also. It was $10 earlier. Now it is $5. How did that happen? It happened only because the reach of Power Platform has increased, right? The footfall has increased. So as the higher the footfall is, eventually the organization is able to reach their revenue goals with charging less to the organization, less to the users, right? The third point is that if we are getting something for free, then we are the one who are the the consume not we are not the consumers then, right? We are the product. I'll give you an example. Okay, not to controversialize anything here, but uh, Facebook, right? We are the product, we are the data for Facebook. That's why we are using it for free. There are some services in Facebook which we might get charged for, but overall, we can go ahead and log in. We can do anything what we are supposed to have within our limited uh, accessibility from the in the Facebook, right? But at the end, we are the one who has made that product like that by giving us by giving it our data, right? Whatever we type, whatever we share on that, based on that, the Facebook has reached to it whatever what it is today, and that's how it has, like, we are the product for that. We are not the consumers of Facebook. However, on the other part, whenever we pay for something, we become the consumer of it, not the product. So this is my thought. We might agree, disagree on this. That's always personal opinion.
I think I agree. I agree. Yeah, yeah. Once it's free, then you are the product. So from the example you gave, it makes perfect sense. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
So thank you, Sylvester. Do you want to be the product or you want to be
Consumer.
Sometimes you just have to be the product.
Yeah. The cost of market in Africa here is a bit when you look at those prices, but like you said, I understand that those licenses are coming down a bit. They are quite a bit affordable now than last year and than the previous year too. And I remember when they started with the portal, how it went, and then when Power Pages came at once, how the prices were before now. So there's a little of some kind of moderation in the licenses, and I believe while people are getting knowing it, it will be going down more than what you have. So that is what I want to add to that. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for having me here, Chesco. It was really good. And thank you so much, guys, for attending this. And this was from the beginner's point of view. In next couple of months, I would be increasing the level of it, the level of Power Platform licensing as well, because I wanted to establish the ground level understanding first, right? And then uh, I would go to a next level of this as well, with some real time examples of showcasing it.
For sure, for sure. We are looking forward to that. Thank you so
Thank you
much.
so much.
All right.
Thank you so